Hey guys, welcome back to Doc Little Talks Comics. And in this episode, we're going to talk about my weekly comic book pickup and haul. So, what is the book of the week? We're going to jump right in, and it's Amazing Spider Man number 32, written by Joe Kelly with art by Patrick Gleason. And we get to see Spidey versus the Vulture, which is really cool because we haven't seen Patrick Gleason on the title in a while, and we haven't seen a lot of action in a while as far as, even Death Spiral. It was just something that boom, 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 things kept popping off, but you didn't get to see Spidey fight Doctor Doom, Tombstone, any of those guys. You didn't get to see any magic, any action. And so we do finally get the answer from the last issue as to why Spider-Man is even fighting the Vulture or even fighting anybody. And it's because he's trying to blow off steam from the issue before. Okay? So he's trying to blow off steam from the talk that he found out that he had a cousin, who looks remarkably like his Uncle Ben. And then it even involves his on again, off again girlfriend slash friend slash girl slash friend, Ray. And she's teaching, she's learning to fight. And let's see, what does it say? Raylis requested a sparring match in order to assess her health. Madness, of course, she would kill a normal human being, and I believe that's frowned upon here. And so eventually you hear about the blood auction. And the blood auction is where Spidey is fighting in. It's kind of like a fight club, an underground deal where you have to fight until one opponent completely gives in, And so eventually he does catch Vulture with his wings down, so to speak, and hits him with almost a web, what did Ben Riley call it? I'm going to call them web bombs. And so when it exploded, it just exploded a bunch of webbing all over him. And so finally, Toombs says, well played, and I yield. And here comes Plague RX, who has come out before, and he takes the pain of others, and then he can put his hand on you, and he can take that pain and store it up, and then he can inflict all of that on you at one time. And so Ray steps in, and he says, Plague RX is a bandaged man who takes injuries from the injured and delivers them into the healthy. Hey, this was really cool, guys. Remember Ralph Macchio? Not the Karate Kid one, but the one that has worked at Marvel for all these years. He was the Spider editor at one point, many, many moons ago, and helped craft a lot of great stories. So it's nice to see that they're giving him props. And it says celebrating 50 years of storytelling. Let's see. Project Pegasus and Marvel's Things 2-in-1. Web of Intrigue featuring Black Widow and Marvel Fanfare. Issues of Thor and the Avengers. And it says, but Macchio made his greatest impact as an editor. He oversaw the work of Mark Gruenwald in Squadron Supreme, Walt Simonson in Thor, and Frank Miller in Daredevil. So he got to see, and based on the JRJR artwork, then he was the editor on Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. That great, great story that we've talked about here. Anyway, to get back to what we're talking about, Spidey is talking to Tombstone, and the blood auction was for the gloves of the Shocker, who was killed during Death Spiral. And so Tombstone says the auction has rules. The party's not over until one party's out for the count, paid in full. And it says, but sometimes, as the bird would say, equilibrium takes precedent. I'll allow you to withdraw if you tell me why these, why did you want these gloves? And give me jokes and you'll be choking on your own teeth. And he says, at first, it wasn't about that. I picked a real dumb way to get out of my head. But then I saw the gauntlets, Herman's gauntlets, and I feel responsible for killing him. I wanted to win them so I could bury them before some idiot decided to become Shocker 2 or After Shocker or whatever. And he said some things should just be left alone. So it's really a heartfelt story. in this issue, and it was great to see Patrick Gleason get to break out with all of this exciting fighting and not just sitting around talking like it was last issue. So this was my pick of the week. All right, what's next? Event Horizon Inferno by Christian Ward and Rob Carey, and this is issue number 3. I don't know 3 of what. I was thinking it was 3 of 4, but now it looks like it's probably going to continue on to maybe 5 or 6. So here we have Lieutenant Stark, and she is one of the original, what's the word I'm looking for? Not cast members. She's one of the original crew, there we go, on the Lewis and Clark that 200 years ago came to explore the Event Horizon with Dr. William Weir. And in the end, then the Event Horizon is kind of like her own personal hell. She gets her head chewed off right here by this creepy thing here, whatever this is. But then the next page, well, not exactly the next page, 2 pages over, she comes back and she says, the Event Horizon won't let me die. It just keeps, it keeps respawning me. She won't let me die and she won't let me leave, because the truth is the Event Horizon needs me to live. And so then you get to see Lawrence Fishburne's character again, Captain Miller. And he says, hey, we got work to do. I don't want to spend a minute longer on this ship. And it goes through this collage of 2 pages showing that the Event Horizon was trying to feel her out when she first died. She was trying to find what her weaknesses were, what Stark's weaknesses were. And in the meantime, she just wants to try to help her friends and get off this ship. And apparently, Cooper was the first one to try to get off the ship. And it says poor Cooper, but at least he's free. And so you get to see this really creepy thing with Cooper floating out in space, that he's decomposed over the years and 200 plus years, and now he's just a skeleton. And Stark says she made it harder to escape after he got out. Sometimes she'd shift the geography of the ship. And the cool thing is you get to see all of this blood and gore. They don't hold back, okay? Rob Carey's artwork does not hold back from what you are experiencing. And eventually, you get to see that one of the guards for the main lady that is in the ship, Mr. Ronte, he's been mortally injured. And she says, I'm sorry. Stark says, well, I'm sorry, but we don't have time for you to die a heroic death. Now please tell me that you have a ship. And so she's trying to get to a ship that has, docked to the Event Horizon. Meanwhile, Mr. Durante is now on the Event Horizon, and you see that Weir may not be dead after all. He's still part of the ship, just like Stark is, and Captain Miller, and everybody. And in the end, Dr. Weir says, soon, my love, my child, you'll be whole soon again. So we do have another issue of this, and it says Inside the Mind of the Event Horizon. If Christian Ward continues doing such a great job on the sequel comic book to the story, then the next issue might break everybody's mind, because the Event Horizon went to hell and came back as, pretty much a hellmouth and a portal. So now we get to see what the ship itself is thinking and why she is trying to keep certain people and lets other people pass away within her corridors. All right, next up we have The Return of Minor Arcana by Jeff Lemire, Letizia Cadenisi, and Patricio Del Pech. And here we have Teresa's story, and Teresa's talking about finding her friend Missy. And they would hang out and they would party together, and eventually, I'm just going to kind of go through this one real quick because it's a love story, okay, between Missy and Teresa. And so you get to see how their relationship builds and builds and builds and builds. And in modern day, Missy is begging for Teresa to go in to Brad, who is her cop husband. And, and she's like, look, let the doctors do what they do. We don't need to start interfering with this, with the tarot cards. And she says, I could never say no to Missy, but this isn't just a bad idea. There's something else going on here and something that scares me. And she said, but still, this did work before. When Miles was unconscious, I was able to connect. So I reach for my cards, but the second I do, a wave of nausea comes over me. So she pulls the tower, and you get to see that she has made it to this hotel. And she says, well, here I am. No more hiding. You want me? Then come and get me. But in the end, we get to see that Teresa's not by herself. She's picked up a hitchhiker into this other world. So I don't know if this is going to be a two-parter or not, but in the back, you get a separate cover that shows Missy. That's kind of the mirror image to this book. So it'll be interesting to see if it's only a two-parter, and then we continue on with the story. All right, and the last book that I'm really going to talk about today is The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue 140. Written, as always, by Robert Kirkman, with art by Charlie Adlard and Stefano Guardino. And after all these years, I looked at it, and it's Gaudiano. So my apologies for all these issues I've been talking about. Stefano Guardino, it's Gaudiano. So I just don't like mispronouncing names. But we get to see Rick telling Michonne that she deserves to be happy. He says, you don't get to beat yourself up and pull yourself away from everybody and everything that you love. And he says, besides, Carl would really like to see you. And she said, I'd like to see you too. So then you get this really big shot of Gregory, and he's like, I was framed. Maggie framed me. I didn't try to kill her. And so the doctor says, so you're saying that Maggie planted the evidence in your trailer and then poisoned herself? I know it sounds crazy, but that's the only scenario that makes sense. And the doctor says, but Gregory, it doesn't. It doesn't add up. And so Jesus and Maggie go back, and Jesus is, saying, look, this is not a Rick and Negan situation. You're going to have to put him down. He's a danger to you, and he won't stop trying to kill you and retake his power until you're dead. And in the middle of all that, they're trying to search for Carl, who's gone off with the walkers, and he gets to see that there's a lot of whisperers. So, like I said, I think we're building up to the Whisperer War as we get closer to issue 150. But Maggie eventually says, you know what, Gregory has to die. And then we cut to these two guys holding pistols on somebody who's getting a haircut. And it turns out to be, surprise, surprise, it's Negan with his cheesy smile. And he's got a haircut and gotten a shower and gotten cleaned up. And in the end, somebody opens his door. But who could that possibly be? Who would leave the door open for the maniac to escape? I don't know. Now we have a new mystery that we need to dig into with The Walking Dead. So if you haven't read this, pick it up in trade. It's even better in color than it was in black and white. So that is that. Now, there's a book that I'm going to do a initial assessment on, and it's The Last Starfighter. And this is a sequel to the movie. And I haven't seen the movie. So it's going to give me an opportunity to watch something brand new from the 80s that I've never seen before. I've just got to find the time to do it. But it's written by Benjamin Rabb and Derek A. Hughes, with art by Willie Roberts, who just finished up the story of The Thing on the Doorstep with Simon Burks. So looking forward to this book from Mad Cave, and looking forward to have the opportunity to talk to you guys about it on a video of initial assessment. So, quick week this week, guys, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what you picked up at the shop. And in the meantime, make sure to hit those comments down below. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, punch all these things, and let's keep going. We are almost to 300 subscribers, guys. I would love to get to 500 by the end of the year. We shall see, but I would love to get to 500 by the end of the year. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I hope that you get all the books that you want, and I'll catch you next time.